This some bitch recording. I don't see no damn light on it. What is happening, guys? It is it's a day, Wednesday. We're at the Hack Pack Shop. Can you see me? You know, the GoPros are kind of cool, but I don't like it because it doesn't have a little screen on the back, so you can't see what it's seeing until you put it on the computer, and it might be too late. So I'm winging it. All right, I've been putting these GoPros on the drones. They seem to work pretty good for that, but I don't know. We're doing a little test run at the Hack and Pack Shop today. What do we got going on? We have a 2006 Chevy Equinox with a little bit of I don't know, hopefully you can see all that. Alright. It's basically, I don't know, the paint just peeled off it and caused all the surface rust. I don't think there's any pinholes in this. It all seems pretty solid to me. So what we're going to do, we're going to take care of this. We got a few hours here, and we're going to get her done. Alright, so what do you need? What do you need to do a job like this? Some bitchin' stuff. Coffee. Definitely need coffee because this is early. It's like 6:30 in the morning. Yeah. You need a paint code. Paint code on an Equinox glove box. A lot of GM vehicles, paint codes in the glove box, center console, or in the trunk underneath the tire cover, or sometimes on the trunk lid. Most GMs, that's where they're at. Okay? Can you see me? I don't even know if you can see me. You're looking at wherever. However. You're going to need a grinder. Okay? You're going to need some tape, some paper. You can use newspaper, masking paper, whatever. I don't think there's going to be any body filler required in this. I hope. It's all surface rust. If it's got some holes in it, you're going to want some kind of a waterproof body filler. Hello. You can get some Duraglass, fiber strand from Napa. Stuff works pretty good. Then you're probably going to need a little bit of regular body filler. I got some 3M lightweight here, which I'm not using this anymore. I actually moved up to the premium stuff. Alright, but you're going to need some body filler. You're going to need some sandpaper ranging from 80 grit all the way to 320 grit. You're going to need a Scotch-Brite pad. You're going to need, obviously, paint. Did I say primer? I don't know if I said primer. Primer, clear coat. Okay? Depending on how fussy you are, you're going to have to wet sand and buff it, but we're not going to do that with this job. Alright, you don't need a ton. You need an air compressor, you know, for tools, grinder, DA, paint gun, or spray can, however you want to roll with it. Blow gun, or something to blow it off with. You can, like that. Alright? Whatever. Really, you don't need a whole lot, guys. You know, cheap compressor will probably work for a little small area like this. I wouldn't paint a whole car with a 10-gallon air compressor, but you know, if you got a small air compressor. And this job, believe it or not, I could probably do this whole damn job by hand without even any air other than to paint the thing. Alright, but if you're at home in your garage and you don't have any tools, you can put a wire brush on a power drill, wire brush all this off. Alright, I'm not getting into all that today because I don't have the time. This thing's got to be done and shipped today. So, and I got to buzz out of here at about 10:30 to go over to the car dealership, ride shotgun over there for the day. Yeah. So, alright, without further ado, let me go grab some tools, we'll grab some tape, we'll mask off at least where I think I might hit stuff with the grinder, and we'll get going on this son of a bitch. Son bitch. Son bitch recording? I think it's recording. Alright, first thing we want to do here, I do not want to screw up the paint on this bumper cover with my grinder. We do slip. I've been doing this stuff a long time. Oh, and I slipped. I actually slipped yesterday in a Jaguar. I had to paint part of her bumper cover because I slipped. So you definitely want to put some layers on. Okay? That grinder will leak through 2 or 3 layers of tape in no time. So you really want to build it up. I know this tape's expensive, but what's more expensive? Your time in painting more parts than you have to, or an extra 25 cents worth of tape? Okay? Very important you do that. Over here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to run it up this door just to make sure. You don't have to be too overly fussy, okay? You just don't want to hit the door, that's all. Chances are it won't, but you might. Alright, now the grinder, where my air hose is here. It's like I got 80 grit on the grinder desk. Alright, my backing pad broke, so I actually have a piece of 30, I have a 36 grit grinder disc on the back. So sometimes I can just hold the grinder like this or like this and grind a little bit more. Alright. You don't need to go a gazillion miles an hour. You just follow the trail. If you're going like this, probably a little bit too fast, okay? Do I even have my air on? Let me go check. Alright, air is on. So what you want to do, you want to make sure this is all nice bare metal. Bare metal. Hopefully you can see this okay. Hopefully this thing's auto-focusing. Right there's a black pet. Right there's some pets. Right there's quite a bit of black there. I have a feeling that there's going to be pinholes in this. Alright, let me go grab a screwdriver. Actually, there's one right here on the floor. It don't look too bad. Looks like there's one right there though. Yeah, a little bit of a pinhole right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of some water-resistant body filler, fiber strand. We're going to put a really thin coat over that. Alright, so let's get some of that mixed up and we'll swipe a little bit over that. Alright, we're on. A little bit of fiber strand body filler. The waterproof stuff is usually, or water resistant I should say, is a dark green. The hardener is blue. Now I didn't need the hardener. Alright, kneading, which means squeezing the tube. Alright, I didn't do that. That's why it's a little bit runny. So you got to be kind of careful about that, but I know we're going to be okay with this one. So basically is what you do, you just kind of want to mix it all together. Kind of like epoxy, two-part epoxy. Got to flip it around. Basically want it to be all a consistent color. Now this is going to be a little more blue than normal, but it's kind of chilly in here. It's like 50 probably. And we want this stuff to dry fast because I don't want to be on, I can't be on this car all day. I've only got a few hours with it here. But you want to make sure, now see that on the back of that spreader, it's not thoroughly mixed. You want to wipe the back of that spreader off too, as clean as you can get it. You want this stuff mixed really well. Now can you put like cheaper body filler over it? You can. It won't last as long though. Try to get a little bit of a longevity out of some of these things. Some of them you're kind of wasting your time, I guess, but you know, it is what it is. Everything looks like it's mixed up pretty good. Basically over the low spots is where we're putting this, where I poked it with a screwdriver. Alright, now I could take a hammer and beat all this in and go totally crazy on it. But again, time is definitely an essence today. We don't have a lot of it. Alright, and this is a pretty low budget job. This is under $200 for this job. Okay? So what we're doing is put a nice thin coat over the low spots. I'll probably just swipe it over the whole area like that, super thin. Alright, it doesn't hurt. Now honestly, if we got everything filled in with the one coat, I'll just be able to sand this and prime it. I don't have to go over it with any more fillers. I'm just going to use everything I have up, just kind of build it up a touch. The fillers, they say you want thin layers. The waterproof stuff, I don't think you have to go as thin, and a lot of times you're using the water resistant or waterproof body filler over a hole, so it's going to be more than 1/4 of an inch deep, alright, in spots. They recommend not going more than 1/4 of an inch deep on body filler. I mean, there's been jobs, some of them I've had to go up to 3/4 of an inch deep if it's a really weird dent and, you know, there's just a spot I can't get out. I mean, you don't have much of a choice but to pack it. Sorry, but it's the freaking truth. That's why you guys watch me, because I'm real with you. I don't BS around about this stuff. We don't do absolutely perfect work here. We're not paid to. It's dealer cars, most of it. Don't do show cars. I don't do, you know, work for people off the street. If I do, it's very, very little, or it's a very close friend or family member. I don't just pull in random jobs here. The dealer keeps me plenty busy. And he's very happy with my work, so why mess up a good thing? Keep it small. That's what I like. I could have 3 guys working here if I wanted, being a bigger facility, but I like what I have going on. I'm very content. Alright, so now's what we do. We let that dry. You want to wipe off your spreader. This was a brand new spreader, so try to make them last as long as we can. And granted, these things are only like, I don't know, 60 cents, 75 cents a piece, but it does add up, guys. Alright, so you want to just wipe it off, get it nice and clean. And then we just let it sit and dry. And we'll turn you back on and do a little sanding. There you are, a little up closer. Okay, we just shot ahead in time about 15 minutes, okay? Body filler is pretty dry. It's probably a touch soft yet, but it is leaving, you know, I'm leaving white prints in it with my fingernail. My fingernail's not getting all clogged up, okay? So, I got a piece of 80 grit on the DA. This DA is loud. It's an old Hutchins, but the muffler's totally missing off it, so it's a pretty loud tool. Okay, so we're just going to go over this really light. We're just going to try to smooth it out, but take as little material out of here as possible, but we kind of want to feather edge it out. So let's get started. And the key to this tool is to try to hold it as flat as possible. If you hold it flat, you're going to have a smoother, flatter, sanded area. If you hold it up like this on edge, you're going to create a lot of indentations, and you're just going to cause more work for yourself. So as much as possible, try to hold it flat. If you do have to hold it up on edge, try to be light with it, which I'm going to have to here near the bumper cover. As a matter of fact, let's put a little more tape on this thing. just to be on the safe side. Alright, we're not going to burn through this with sandpaper as quick as we would with a grinder because it's a lot lower of a speed. Alright, but hey, we all make mistakes, we all slip up, okay? Alright, let's get this done. What I got going on over here. Hopefully this is going to focus in, but the paint's actually starting to peel back. So I'm just going to have to keep feather edging this. Alright, this is a feather edge here, where it kind of looks like soft lines, and here it looks like a harder line. Alright, you can feel that. If you can feel it, you're definitely going to see it, okay? So you definitely want to have softer lines. Like here, you really won't see the transition. Here, you definitely will. So what I got to do, I got to kind of concentrate on right there. I mean, it's not really peeling doing that, but I've definitely got to sand that back with a sander. Well, let's keep going. want to make sure everything in here is as smooth as possible. Man, it's got this real weird little indentation in here in the lip. So you really can't get into that with a machine unless you really sandblast it or use a different style of a machine. I'm trying to get everything as smooth as possible. Let me take this tape off there. Now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to put a little bit of 180 grit on here. We'll get her super smooth and then we'll get it prepped for primer. Everything feels good, feels nice and smooth. We have a little bit of a weird indentation right here. See if we can smooth this out by hand. There we go. Everything feels good. Alright, so let's throw a piece of 180 on here. I mean, a lot of this you can do by hand. You know, if you're at home in a garage with no air compressor, limited resources. I think I put a couple videos up in the past trying to do a couple spots by hand. And let's put a little more tape on this door. See, leaving this tape back here, this saved a lot. I could be a little more careless, which means I could be a little faster. This protected this bumper. Nice. There we have it. You can't feel any transition with the body filler. You can't feel any transition with the paint layers. You can't feel any transition, period. That's what I'm going to do real quick. I'm just going to take a piece of Scotch-Brite here. Get this nice and scuffed up around this area where I'm going to prime it. Because I'm going to get some primer on it. And then I got to buzz down to Napa and go pick up some paint. I'm not going to make them deliver just one little measly pint of paint. Not this early in the morning. Paint's already been called in. The Scotch-Brite, what it does, it scratches this paint up enough to make stuff stick to it. And we'll get into that probably in the next video. We're going to do a two-part video on this, I think. There we go. She's scratched up nice. That's what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this door. Means I got to move you. I got you on the battery charger on a gallon of body filler and then a box. Alright, hopefully, there we go. What we got to do is put a little tape inside this door jamb. We don't want paint or primer or anything to blow into here. It just looks unprofessional. For the extra couple minutes it takes to throw a little piece of tape down through here. It's well worth it. Makes the job just look so much better. What I'll do is I'll get a little bit of paper. We'll paper this up and blow some primer on it, wherever I have the paper. Doing body work, you really want to pay attention to detail. And the reason is this is one of those things where everything you do, you see. I mean, obviously you're doing a job like this to improve the appearance of your car, or your friends, or customers, whatever you plan on doing. Appearance is everything with body work. Granted, I'm a slob when I work, but my jobs look nice when they're done. And that's really all that matters. I mean, I am a slob when I work. I am not going to lie to you there. You don't want overspray blown all over the place. It doesn't look good. It's worth the extra couple seconds to do a little extra taping, a little extra sanding. Tire cover. Throw tire cover on it. And unfortunately in this profession, I just do my tape, there is a lot of waste. A lot of waste. Especially with this tape and this paper. And this primer I'm using, it's an acrylic primer. Pretty much like a lacquer based primer. And a dry super clip. I mean, I'm going to go to Napa after I prime this, go get the paint. By the time I get back, which will probably be a 30-minute round trip at the most, this will be ready to sand. We could sand it, finish taping it off, and spray the sumbitch. Alright, let me shut you off and we'll go grab the primer gun, blow and wipe this off real quick, and go get some primer for paint. Alright, got a blow gun, got a paper towel, got the primer gun. So we're going to blow all this excess dust off here. Take a paper towel with a blow gun. Here you go, all nice and blown off. Put a little primer on. Primer. I'm going to go down and get some paint. We'll come back. We'll finish taping this all off. And we'll get this sumbitch painted. That'll be part 2. So part 1, we're done. Part 2, we'll be painting, taping, scotch writing, getting her done. Y'all have a goody and stuff. Later. What is happening, guys? Is this thing on? Yeah, it's on. Some bitch. We're doing part 2. Hopefully you can see okay. Here, get a tripod or something. Is that better? I don't know. We're doing part 2 on Chevy Equinox. Alright, the video I did earlier was basically showing how to get this in primer from some minor rust spots. Okay, and next step, we gotta sand the primer, Scotch-Brite, tape, and paint the sumbitch. And I'm a choochin'. So what we're gonna do, probably been about 30-35 minutes since I put the primer on this. In last videos I did tell you that it was an acrylic primer, which is like a lacquer based primer. It's cheaper stuff, but it seems to work pretty good. Okay, 320 grit. I just took a piece of DA paper, folded it in half. Alright, we just want to get this nice and sanded. What you want to do is try to stay off of this hard edge. But you want to get it sanded nice and smooth. A little bit of overspray blew up from the primer, okay, up into this area here. You want to make sure that there's no transition. You want all this to feel the same before you paint it. Whatever you feel, you are going to see. That's just how the bodywork stuff works. They say a blind body man is as good, if not better, than a body man that can see. Now when it comes to painting, oh hell no. But when it comes to doing actual body work and feeling the actual work that you're doing, they say a blind man actually potentially is better. So I'm just concentrating on getting some of this primer sanded off of here. I built it up pretty good. Okay, so it'll fill any minor imperfections, and I mean minor. This acrylic primer isn't made for really filling. It's just made to be a coating. But it will fill like 100 grit, well, probably 180 grit scratches, which is what I sanded this to, 180 grit. If you put it on really thick and let it sit a couple days, you could probably cover 80 grit scratches with it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'm trying not to hit the edges, even though I did a little bit here. It's not really a huge deal. Just get in there a little bit in between that bumper cover and the quarter panel. You know, and again, guys, this is a budget job. This is a dealer car. All right, I'm not as fussy on stuff like this as I would be. You know, this job should pay $300 and, well, I'd probably charge a customer $250 to $300 off the street to do a job like this, but I do it a little bit differently. All right, the dealer, it's like $150. So you got to cut some corners, guys. It's just how it is. Scotch-Brite now is what I'm going to do. Speaking of cutting corners, hopefully the camera is picking it up way up here. I hope it is. There's a hard body line here. I'm actually going to tape from this body line and spray from this line down. Okay? But what we got to do is make sure this is really thoroughly scuffed up. And that's one thing I do not cut corners on, is making the paint stick. The paint's got to stick, guys. Even if you cut a couple little corners, body work might not be perfect, whatever. Alright, panel painting instead of a blend. One of my biggest pet peeves of doing this kind of work is seeing paint that's peeling because some son of a bitch was lazy. Alright, I've seen some bad body work. I've done some questionable body work. Not gonna lie to you. But you never see my paint peeling. That's just one thing that really annoys me. And you want to scuff this stuff pretty hard. Kind of get into that jam just a touch. The first place is paint start to peel. They usually don't start mid-panel. When paint peels, it usually starts peeling on the edges and works its way up like it did here. It started peeling here, worked its way up, of course down to bare metal, rusted it, and that's that. That's all she wrote. And the edges is where everything gets nicked. Getting in and out of the car, you know, around this gas door, you know, you're nicking it with your fingernails or, you know, the fuel pump nozzle. You just want to take an extra couple minutes and just make sure this stuff is scuffed up good. I've never had a problem with peeling. Alright, some guys are against Scotch-Briting. Some guys just don't like it. I don't mind it. I usually use the red though. The red's a little bit more coarse than the gray. They make a red and a gray for the automotive stuff. The gray is a little bit finer. That's the difference. The red is coarser. I'm getting right in there and making sure this is good and scuffed. And yeah, it takes a couple extra minutes, but it's better than peeling paint. And you really have to push hard when you're doing this. The harder you push, the more it scratches it up. You can use like 1,000 grit wet, even 800 grit, I guess, in a darker color. You can probably get away with it. But if I go ahead and wet sand all this, then I gotta wait for the water to dry. this is a time-sensitive project. I've only got about an hour and a half left to finish it, which isn't going to be a big deal. No problem. And really, this was a higher paying job. This taillight would come out of it. Hopefully you're picking me up. Again, these edges are where you really got to pay attention. And I'm staying from this hard body line down. Right in there tight to that window rubber. Open up this gas door a little bit, make sure this inner edge is sanded good so it doesn't start peeling. Okay. See how nice and dull that is? That's what you want. You want it dull. You don't want it shiny. Shiny is bad if you're ready to paint. Paint don't stick to shiny, okay? Alright. Now's what I'm going to do. Find a blowgun. We're going to blow this thing all out. Try to get as much dirt off this thing as possible before we start taping. And you can use your hand, okay? As long as you don't use like lotion or anything like that, you're okay. As long as your hands are good and dry. Gonna open up the gas door, blow around in here. You always got debris coming out of this area. That's what we're going to do. We're going to grab some tape, or whatever I do, my 3/4 inch. Something just dropped from something. Some bitch. We're just going to run like a little tape bead around here. Just so we don't get a ton of overspray blowing in here. Kind of like that. Okay. This is what we're going to do. I'm actually going to leave this door open. I've got to reload my paper machine and actually put all this tape and paper on the machine. It's meant to actually dispense this correctly. It's just taking the extra 5-6 minutes per roll. This is 18-inch masking tape I'm using, 3/4 inch 3M green tape. The green is nice stuff. I like the green. You really don't want to use the tan up against other painted surfaces. Sometimes that tan, believe it or not, that paint will soak through it. The green, I've had very good luck with it. Once in a while I'll get soaked through if I really reduce the paint down a ton. And then it sometimes causes an issue, but right now we're good. Just kind of want to make sure your paper is taped back good. Alright, now there's a little bit of a, actually let's do something different with this. There's a hard line, alright, right there. And that's what I'm using. I'm actually going to roll this tape back. I'm going to loop it so it doesn't leave a hard edge here. Alright, and then this I'll just be able to hand rub it. Okay, like again, if this was a regular, you know, off the street, nice vehicle, it'd be a little bit of a different approach. It's not. It's a cheap dealer job. You know, this might be something closer to what you guys would do at home. This is what I'm doing. They actually make a foam tape for doing this, but it's not worth spending huge money to me. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of rolling this back. Gotta find that hard edge. And this will basically prevent you from having a hard paint edge. The same thing the foam stuff does. This is just a little more work. Now chances are, if I didn't tell you guys I was doing this, and you came to look at this vehicle to buy it, you would never notice anyway. But I'm honest about what's done here. You guys want little tips and tricks, that's what we're doing. Alright, every business has its secrets. Now with this particular clear coat I'm using, basically you're good about 2.5 to 3 feet for overspray. It's a fast dry, what they call a spot and panel clear. So with this clear, especially since it's painting such a small area, you really don't have to cover the whole car up. And I'm not going to. I'm just going back about 3 feet. Just to be on the safe side. And any overspray that really does get on the car, if any, is going to pretty much be dust by the time it settles. And these cars generally go to detail after they leave my shop anyways. So even if there is a little bit of overspray, that buffer usually takes it off there in a split second. If you do get overspray on your glass when you're doing a job like this, like even spray cans guys will overspray. You know, they'll leave overspray if you're not careful. Painting outside, windy, whatever. Especially any enamel-based spray can. Enamel is just some thick, sticky stuff. It's durable, but I tell you what, you get overspray on something using enamel. I'm sure you guys have spray painted tractors or whatever, some of you, especially an implement enamel. That stuff is nasty, nasty stuff. But this is more of this base coat's kind of like lacquer. All right, it goes on you know, you put it on light, of course, in layers. It's not like enamel. It's a thinner paint than, say, enamel. But it dries super quick, the base coat does. The clear coat is closer to an enamel. It's actually a urethane. Alright, but a lot of you guys don't know the difference between urethane, lacquer, whatever. Urethane's closer to like an enamel. It's a thicker paint. There's more material you're putting on at once. You know, base coat you put on 4 or 5 coats of color. You know, clear coat, couple coats, you know, in a job like this, you're usually pretty good. Why only 2 coats? Because it's a thicker paint. Those 2 coats of clear in mil thickness is more than, say, 4 coats of base coat. Your clear coat is your protectant. It not only protects your color, it actually makes your color shine. It enhances your color. Okay? Now back in the day when I started painting, lacquer and enamel were pretty much what were out there. Those are your choices for paint. Lacquer is a thinner paint that's pretty durable, but it requires more maintenance. Okay, lacquer you gotta buff it every couple of years to bring back its shine. Enamel tends to protect it more because it's a thicker paint. But lacquer, I don't even think it's legal to buy anymore. I know I haven't bought it in years. I used to love this stuff. But a lot of lead in it. Bad for your health. Alright. Now she's all taped. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blow it off again. It's kind of a quick blow. Alright, now a lot of guys are probably going to be like, well, what the hell are you doing at this step? Is what I'm going to do is I am actually using glass cleaner. Spray glass cleaner. I love this stuff. Spraying glass cleaner on it. A lot of guys will use a wax and grease remover. Alright, and that is usually necessary if you have a car that's been waxed and really, we'll say really well kept up. This vehicle really hasn't been. There was no armor all on the tires, nothing like that. It looked like it was just basically washed to be shipped through the auction for us to get it, which is good. I'd rather have a car come in that's washed than waxed and armor-alled up, because there's a lot of silicones and stuff in those waxes and armor-alls, and that just raises hell, holy hell with your paint. So if you guys ever want to take your car to a body shop to get work done to it, don't wax it up for the guys. They'll be pissed off. Don't armor all it up. Just wash it. Soap, water, rinse. No wax. It will raise holy hell at a body shop. Trust me. Now I actually use like those blue shop towels to do this, but I'm out of them. So I'm just using these cheap paper towels. Tack ragging, could tack rag it, but I'm not gonna. It's a cheap job. Tack rags aren't cheap. Just open this up, wipe the edge of this off a little bit. Then this paint, this Napa paint, Crossfire brand, is pretty damn forgiving, guys. A preschooler could damn near paint this stuff. Color match, not always perfect, but I tell you what, 90% of the time, I could panel paint and you wouldn't even know the difference. Okay? So there we are. We're all ready for paint. Now again, if we're doing a perfect job, we'd tack rag it. Alright, we'd be painting the whole entire quarter panel. We'd be doing a few things differently. But again, it's a cheap job. Anybody that comes to the car lot, looks at this car, walks around it, wow, it's nice. Alright, that's what we're looking for. Alright, we're not looking to do show car quality on a 9-year-old vehicle. It's just not worth it. The profit margins just are not there to spend $400 or $350 to paint this panel. Is it worth $150, $175? Oh, hell yeah. But it's not worth a ton of money, okay, to paint it and just be a total perfectionist on a car that's 9 years old, especially an Equinox, okay? All right, I'm going to shut you off. I'm going to mix up some paint, throw it in the gun, and we'll start painting this little bastard. Off. Okay, paint's in the gun. Now what I'm going to start with is this inner edge. I always start on the inner edges of stuff. You got about, I don't know, probably run about 30, 35 pounds in here. We're just going to concentrate on putting a color over the primer for right now. And then we let it sit for about 5 to 6 minutes. Off camera, I just put on another couple coats just over this primary area where the primer is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to expand the area where I'm putting the color just a little bit more, okay? And it'll help sort of blend the color out, like a color blend. There's no reason to put color all up here. It's just, there's no reason for it. For two reasons. One, if the color don't match, you're really screwed, because the whole panel is going to look lighter, darker, more metallic-y, whatever, than the adjoining panels. Unfortunately, with this job, we are adjoining two panels, which is the door here and the bumper here. Usually panel to bumper, you can kind of get away with it, you know, if the color is off a touch, but metal panel to metal panel, like side panel to side panel, like obviously this one, quarter panel to door, we are pretty concerned about the color, okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mist over some color just over this general area. Just kind of feather it back. Now you can see how these guns are 2-point trigger. That's just blowing air. Pull it a little more, you got paint, okay? I mean, a lot of guys will, like that, totally let off. Like that, totally let off. Me, I just let off the color. Always keep the air blowing. I don't know, it's just a habit. We're just kind of just blowing this color just a little bit over where we really need it. And then that's it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let this sit and dry. I'm going to go empty the gun, rinse the gun out, okay? And then we're going to put clear coat in it, and then we're going to clear coat this whole panel. Alright, because if I just cleared over where I just painted, you're going to have all this area where it's going to be dull, fuzzy. You just have a mess, pretty much. So you're better off putting just color where you need the color. Alright, like I said again, there's no reason to put color up here. If you look at this paper, obviously there's no color here. There's only color, you know, right pretty much where we needed it. Okay, you got to go a little bit beyond your primer area by a few inches, and you're not going to be able to help that just the way the guns work. You know, they don't, you know, draw lines, okay? It's a big fuzzy area, what these guns produce for paint. So, you just want to keep your painted area small, your colored area small. You're doing a whole car, that's a little bit different. Okay, but there's no sense in putting color all over up here. And the main reason is color match problems. And especially these grays, these lighter colors. This gray usually is a pretty good match. But if it was a silver, silvers, any guys that paint know, silvers just suck. The light tans, the real light greens, the real light blues. Alright, any light metallic color, it's just a bitch, especially when you're using a lower quality paint like the Crossfire, okay? It's between low grade, mid grade. Alright, probably closer to mid grade. I'm not going to use a $50 or $60 pint of DuPont paint in this little spot, because this pint of paint alone for this little area was 30 bucks just for the color. And I'm not even using a quarter of that pint. So, you really don't need to put the high-end paint on, especially, you know, a 9-year-old dealer vehicle, okay? If it was, you know, somebody's baby, that's a little bit different. And granted, I know this is going to be somebody's baby, but at the same time, we got to keep price down, guys. You guys at home, you're not going to go to a body shop, spend 300 bucks to have this done. That's the reason why you're watching the video, so you can learn how to do this at home. Okay? Just using the most basic stuff to do it, you know, lower quality materials. And there was one that I did with this same exact product of paint, the Crossfire paint in the clear. I did it maybe roughly 4 years ago. I did some custom stripes on a hood of a truck, and it was my buddy Matt's, and he sold it a while back. We sold it at the car lot probably 3 years ago, roughly. Well, we just bought it at the auction again like a week ago. And that hood still looks like the day I painted it. Okay, if you do the stuff right, the stuff will hold up. But you've got to try to do the most you can do and the best you can do with what little you have to work with. Alright, total cost of doing this job, my cost on everything, probably about roughly $60 worth of materials, maybe $70 total dollars worth of materials. Now if I was to have to go out and buy everything to do this job, alright, that 2-inch masking tape is roughly 10 bucks a roll. Alright, this 18-inch masking paper is roughly, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks a roll. The 3/4 inch tape is about $4 a roll. The pint of paint, about 30 bucks. A gallon of clear, unless you bought a quart, but the gallon, I always buy the stuff by the gallons. The clear and the activator together, about $110. The gallon of waterproof body filler is about $60 to $70. Alright, the sandpaper per sheet, if you figure it out that way, is about 35 to 40 cents per sheet. Alright, the primer, for a gallon of that cheaper primer is like $70. So, because I do this every day, I buy the stuff in bulk, okay? For you to do this at home, it might be cheaper for you to do it at a body shop if you're doing it this route. If you're doing it with spray cans and stuff like that, yeah, you can probably do it for like 40 bucks, 50 bucks, and then a few hours of your time. It's not going to be body shop quality if you're using spray cans, obviously, but it'll look way better than all this peeling, okay? Anything you do to improve your car is going to make your car look better. I mean, that's what we're all about here, okay? Me, this is what I do. These cars are just, you know, I could do 4 of these jobs a day or 3 of these jobs a day, no problem, okay? Hopefully this video helps you guys a little bit. I'm going to shut you off right now. I'm going to go get some clear in this gun. We're going to clear it, and then we'll let her dry for a few minutes, and we'll peel some paper right here, shut the door, and see what our color match looks like. Be right back. Okay, we've let this color flash off for roughly 10 minutes now. Okay, we're ready to clear coat it. Now, here's what I did with the clear coat. This is how you mix it. Alright, at least with the stuff that I use. It's 4-1-1 is the ratio. 4 parts of clear coat, 1 part of activator, and then 1 part of reducer. Now the reducer basically will help you lay the paint on a lot smoother, and it does also help the drying time a little bit. Alright, it makes its flash, what you call its tack-free time a little bit quicker, because the paint's actually now, because you reduced it, it's a touch thinner, okay? And then of course it makes your paint go a little bit further too. Now with the base coat, like with this particular color, a lot of them are 50-50 split. 50 paint, 50 reducer. Some are 2 parts paint, 1 part reducer. Okay? I don't measure anything. I just don't. I mean, most of these paints are going to work regardless. As long as you're close, you're going to be fine. With this particular color, because it's more of a metallic color, is what I did is I was closer to 2 part paint, 1 part reducer. Okay, some of it I will use 3 parts paint, 1 part reducer. And the reason why I used a touch more reducer than normal is because you want the color, the metallics are taller. Okay, metallics basically is a powder. It's a powder that they put in the paint to make it sparkle. Alright, the metallics work because you're reflecting light from one way or the other. The metallics actually kind of stand there. They're like a reflector is what a metallic is. Okay? So obviously the metallics stand taller. And unfortunately I can't find my tack right, because right now at this point I would take my tack cloth and wipe all this whole area clean and then go ahead and clear it. I don't know where my tack cloth is, and I really don't have the time to go searching for it. I'm going to have to buy some more. So what we're going to do now is we're actually just going to clear it. Now, the way they recommend on this clear coat is 2 heavy coats. You put your first coat on just like you would put your last coat on. Well, sometimes, unfortunately, there's a problem with what they call fish eyes. Fish eyes are indentation in the paint. If you look at, you know, say somebody did not so great of a job painting a vehicle, and you see all these like little indentations in the paint. They look like little mini craters all over in the paint. That's what they call fish eyes. That's because there's some kind of contaminant when they painted it. It could be coming from the airline. It could be coming from the floor. Maybe they had lotion or something on their hands when they prepped it. Maybe somebody arm rolled the piss out of the car or waxed it not too long ago and you didn't get it all off. So that causes fish eyes. All right, so if you put the first coat on really thick and you have fish eyes popping through it, now you have a lot of clear on there, and then you're already starting out with some deep fish eyes. You're already starting with problems. So is what I do with the dealer cars too, because they're low budget, is I'll put my first clear coat on, my first coat of clear on, like powdery. I just mixed it on. I'm not trying to get shine out of my first coat. I'm basically just trying to get a little bit of a coverage. All right, and that kind of works as a fisheye barrier too. Okay? That's it, first coat. Basically, if you put the paint on more powdery, I should say, or drier, it's going to fill in over those areas where a fisheye might potentially start. And then we'll just let this tack off for a few minutes. Tack off, it's when you can touch it, okay? If you can touch it and rub your finger across and not get any paint on your fingers, it's tacked off. But is what you want is you want it actually sticky. Alright, and I just put this on so light, it's almost already drying. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this again. Just real quick. Not really trying to get a shine out of it. Alright, probably what you're seeing now, well, you probably do a little better with a spray can, but not much. And now, you can kind of smear it around and it's sticky. So let this flash off for just maybe a minute or so, maybe not even. It actually feels pretty good. We'll wait about a minute. And then I'll go ahead and put one good coat of clear on it, and then we're just done. We're done. It's a dealer car, we're done. I'm not going to go totally stupid putting a ton of clear on this thing. Okay? Unfortunately, guys, with this business, especially when you're doing dealer work, you got to cut corners. You just have to. Okay? I mean, this stuff is not cheap. The materials isn't cheap. Nothing's cheap. Now, a lot of guys, they'll start up and work their way down. It's different with every job. Very carefully shut the door and just see what our color match looks like. Okay? We'll be right back. Alright, it's only been a couple minutes, but I'm getting really pressed for time, so I've got to hurry up and close this video up. So I'm just very carefully going to remove some tape here. Now usually I'll just let this sit for several hours before I do this, but for video purposes for you guys, and so we can wrap this video up, very carefully removing some of this paper, rolling it back very carefully. I'm not going to take it all off of here. Actually got to find some tape here so I can tape this back. Darn it all. Okay, now I'm very carefully going to shut this door. I wiped off the edge of it already. The color looks pretty good. It looks maybe a touch dark. Okay, but again, we're not really going to worry about it. If this was a customer's vehicle or a newer vehicle, I would actually take the color and carry it into this panel. So we'd be painting the quarter panel and a door, and we'd be painting way up here. Okay, but it's not. Again, it's a low budget job. $150 a panel is usually my going rate for minor stuff like this for the car lot. Alright, it's not a lot of money. So 2 panels, that's $300. Okay, but it doesn't look bad. Like I said, it looks maybe just a touch darker. I don't know how it's going to look on camera. Okay, but there you have it. Alright, and I got to get rolling, guys. I got to get home, get a shower, and go to the car lot and do my duties. Alright, so I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. And, you know, we'll get some more stuff coming for you. Y'all have a goody-goody. Later.